You are listening to Big Trouble in Little Podcast. And here are your hosts, Joe Dubs and Andy.
Hello, Internet peeps, and welcome to another edition of Big Trouble in Little Podcast. I am Joe Dubs.
And I'm Andy.
This podcast is where we watch a movie on any streaming platform, either if it's Hulu, Netflix, and Amazon. We watch it, we come back here, and we discuss it. It's the simplest freaking podcast ever. But Andy, what the hell have you been watching besides the movie of the week?
This is the very, very tail end of Filmstruck. Like, after our last episode, I think I had like 2 or 3 days left on it. So I watched The Human Condition, Part 1 of 3. Now I gotta buy it so I can watch the rest of it because it was brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
Monsieur Verdot, Pearls of the Deep, which is it's a collection of 5 short stories. Chungking Express, which is a masterpiece. And then I was sick one day, so I sat around and rewatched The Big Lebowski, and then I watched I, Tonya, that movie about Tonya Harding.
Yep.
And I've been watching a bunch more Deep Space Nine. I'm coming up on the end of it, so I'll be done with DS9 soon. I'll have to move on to Voyager.
I will say, like, Deep Space Nine is, like, the second best for me in the Star Trek TV shows. And
yeah, I think I still like Next Generation barely a little bit more. But Deep Space Nine is really fucking cool.
I mean, they're all good in their own way, I guess. Me, on the other hand, more Mystery Science Theater 3000. I just find it amazing how they still make that show really good, because I thought, because I know they have the rip tracks and all that stuff, so they kind of keep up with it.
Yeah, it's not like they ever stopped.
Yeah.
It's just you always kind of expect them to like run out of goofy ways to riff, but no, it's just the movies keep providing new material.
Mm-hmm. And I've been watching actually some Christmas movies on TV. I forgot what channel it is, but my mom.
Oh shit! I forgot to say I also watched Home Alone and Scrooge. Speaking of Christmas movies,
Scrooge, the one with Bill Murray.
Heck yeah!
Hell yeah! That's the best. That's one of the best, and we will talk about the best Christmas movie in my opinion. But yeah, not a lot of stuff. I've been playing a lot of Red Dead Redemption 2. That could pretty much be a movie in itself, but but I will leave that for our Escape from Side Quest. So I think we should just dive into this movie, because I want to get this right off the bat. The movie that we watched this week is The Christmas Chronicles with Kurt Russell. And my motto is you have to watch every Kurt Russell movie at least once. Because he's one of those underrated actors that could pretty much do, a really good movie, and then he could be like in a really bad movie, but he makes it good in his own way. Mm-hmm. Let's dive into The Christmas Chronicles. I want to get your opinion on it, Andy, first. Did it play with your emotions a lot in this film?
I don't know about a lot. I did, the stuff about the father is interesting in that, it feels like it should just be exploitative, and I hate to sound like a big weepy woman or something, but which is sexist of me to say, I'm sorry, but something about Christmas and Christmas movies can really get to me a lot better. Like, I've seen Home Alone like 100 goddamn times in my life, and at the end, when Kevin's mom turns up and sees him for the first time since they accidentally left him alone, I still get a little like the bottom lip quivering a little bit. But yeah, this movie got that out of me at least a little bit.
Yeah, and it did the same thing to me pretty much and they did it multiple times. It's not like they did it in the beginning. Like, throughout the whole time, you were kept on bringing up like, oh, I miss Dad, or them going to Katie going to the North Pole and finding her brother's letter from this year.
Yeah, I liked that part. Like the only part that felt like forced or even exploitative was like when they're going by the church.
Mm-hmm.
That scene felt forced. I feel like one of the producers or someone working on the movie was like, we need to work a church message into this, and I was like, oh well, all right, that's fine.
Well,
it didn't like ruin the movie or anything, but that scene felt out of place.
Yes and no. I mean, it is a Christian holiday, so like I was expecting at least a church to be there.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely have a church in your movie. That's fine.
Yeah, I totally get it that they forced it, and especially like they had to have that moment where Katie was being, the like, oh, even though you just fucking stole cars and shit, and you're a criminal, I still like your brother. Like, I understand that was like kind of forced in a way. And he's like, and she said the line like, "I see you, I see a lot of my father in you," because she was really young, probably when he passed away. And pretty much the payoff at the end, which we'll talk about soon, it pretty much stems from that church scene. What I will say is Kurt Russell, I am going to coin the best Santa Claus ever.
Yeah. He, at first, I was like, oh, it's Kurt Russell. I love Kurt Russell. He's one of my favorite actors. And that's like, I expected to just see Kurt Russell dressed as Santa Claus the whole movie. Mm-hmm. He really does a really good job of, like, actually being Santa Claus in this movie. The only time I was like, okay, well, that's Kurt Russell in a Santa Claus outfit is the musical. There's a song in this movie.
Yeah.
It's weird. Yeah. Like, they kind of work it in, like, well, it's part of the story. He's got a Christmas cheer or whatever. But that was the only time I was like, oh, that's right, this is Kurt Russell. Like, the rest of it, I was just like, okay, that's Santa Claus. He's got to do Santa Claus. Mm-hmm. Like, I really liked the way he played Santa Claus. I really liked the way Santa Claus was personified.
Yeah, and
helicopters taking off outside. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, I was wondering. I was like, is your mic going or like?
No, I live a block away from a hospital. That'll be an air ambulance taking off.
Gotcha. So, were you going to finish on that, or you want to keep on going?
No, that was pretty much my point. He was excellent in it, and I really like not only the way that he acted as Santa Claus, but the way Santa Claus was written too. Because they could have totally done like a fake out where he's like an asshole. They could have done. I don't know. There's a bunch of other stuff that I kept like preemptively cringing over, but no, they did a really good job of writing Santa Claus. I don't. This is gonna make me sound like a hypocrite because when we watch other movies, I always judge them in a lot of ways. And I'm gonna cut this movie slack, but Christmas movies. It's a Christmas movie, and he's Santa Claus. It's like an established character. It's like you wrote a movie about Spider-Man, so he's gonna be real hung up on using power responsibly, and also he shoots web. There's established rules for it, and I feel like they did a really good job of like working with them, but also making them interesting.
Well, when you think of a lot of like Christmas movies, especially when it has this tone as a kids movie, you go, "Oh, that's a kids movie," and you put that on Christmas Day, and you kind of, I don't know, you do adult things while your children are watching this movie. I felt like this movie was for both adults and kids.
Yeah, it's a family movie. There's too many movies nowadays that are like just PG, and kids are entertained by it, and parents have to sit through it. But there's some people that can make a movie that's entertaining also to adults. And this one, I was entertained by, so I have to assume if there were kids in the room, I would have been entertained by it. Like if you have a family, this is absolutely a movie you can watch with them. I'd watch it on Christmas Eve is what I would recommend.
Yeah, because it pretty much takes place throughout. Yeah.
And they even named the year Christmas Eve 2018. So,
and you could tell
be an extra little bit of magic for the kids.
Yeah. You could tell like Kurt Russell had fun doing this film because maybe he's just a good actor. And it doesn't show that maybe he's like, man, I'm going to collect a paycheck and, I'm going to be Santa Claus. I don't know. I just feel like throughout the acting, the kids were a little cringy at time. At times you could tell it was scripted by adults. Be like, I could tell an adult wrote this line for a kid.
Yeah.
But then other times I was like, you could tell, the acting of the kid was really good. It was believable. What they do really well with the whole cringy kids moments is when they're bantering at each other, like, I'm gonna tell mom that you stole a car, and like those, it was I was like, I could deal with that, but that's the adult in me. I know kids would love those scenes with the brother and the sister and all that.
I thought it was weird that she didn't tell their mom about it.
I think because if she would have told the mother about the stolen car, they'd probably do and I'm doing quotations with my fingers, do the right thing and probably turn the son in or something to the police. I don't know.
Yeah, you would have ruined the movie, obviously, but she didn't really have motivation not to tell her mother in that scene. Like, retroactively, it's like, oh, well, it's good because now they grew together and they're closer as siblings now. But at the time, I was like, why are you still hiding the tape? Just tell her.
Yep. What I really liked about Kurt Russell too is instead of just being like, oh, I'm Santa Claus, ho ho ho, he would like pretty much tell you, like, hey, in 1971, what did you really want? And he would pull out like a 1951 Mickey Mantle rookie card or something like that. This was when he went into the restaurant looking for a car because the sled broke down. And to kind of go into a quick synopsis of the movie, Katie still believes in Santa Claus. The brother doesn't. During Christmas Eve, Katie sees on the old camera that her father had, which they videotaped every Christmas, that she found a hand putting a present under the tree, pretty much proving that there is Santa Claus. And goes to tell the brother, and the brother's like, nah, that's the aunt. And he's like, aunt is usually never here on Christmas Eve. So they set up a camera to kind of catch Santa in the moment. They do. They get on his sled and pretty much scare Kurt Russell into crashing the sled in Chicago. And that's where they lead off. And I forgot where I was going with this, but pretty much I like how Kurt Russell went into the restaurant. That's where I'm going with it. Went into the restaurant and pretty much told everybody, what they got for Christmas and if they were naughty or nice and all that. So I really like those moments, especially when he gets to the police station. Now, what was the worst, not the worst, but what didn't you like about this movie?
The musical scene was like, okay, but I could have done without it. I fucking hated the elves.
Really?
It was so obvious that they were like, man, I wish we would have invented the minions. And it was just like a bunch of that kind of shtick.
Mm-hmm.
Ugh, so stupid.
I really like the elves. I don't know. Maybe I was because I messaged you pretty much in the first hour of the movie where I was like, this is the best movie probably Christmas movie I ever saw ever. And it could be biased because Kurt Russell's in it and he kind of makes up the whole movie for it. But when the elf scene happened, and I find it funny that they speak Elvish.
Yeah, that's weird. It sounded like German at first.
Mm-hmm. Or Swedish, because there was a point where Kurt Russell goes, "Oinchen, oinchen, oinchen," and I'm like from the Muppets or something, the chef. What is going on here?
Yeah, one of them is named Lars.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I could totally understand that they had a really Minion-esque kind of thing going on.
Yeah, I didn't understand why they had to be like stupid, cute little creatures that are. I mean, they're going to appeal to kids. I understand the movie's for everyone, but I mean, you asked what I didn't like, and I didn't know they were doing. What about you? Did you love everything, or is there anything you hated?
Just the things that really stand out, like when they had to put like really bad people. You could tell that like this is gonna sound stupid and weird, but like they just grabbed a good guy and put him in ghetto clothes and be like, "You're a bad guy now." Like especially the people that were picking on the brother, and we're gonna throw the sack into the fire. Like those people were unbelievable as bad guys.
Well, believable bad guys wouldn't have a place in a PG Christmas movie. I was thinking about that too, because like their wardrobe is weird. It seems, and then like their chop shop, their hideout has like arcade machines in the background. And I said out loud, "What is this fucking Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Foot Clan?" Because I think that it was like the vanilla version of gang, car gang, steel gang. So that's kind of what I chalked that up to. They said, okay, well, there's bad guys in this movie, but we can't scare kids, so they just hassle the brother, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah. That's like it.
I really hated the no sense of urgency in the kids when...
Yeah, several times it's like, you're wasting a lot of time. She's like looking over the letters and watching the videos, and they're standing in front of the church talking about their dad, and then they're walking around all the time doing nothing. And, oh, hi, elves. I'm so glad to meet you. No sense of urgency. And it's, oh my God.
Yeah, Kurt Russell was like, and I'm always going to refer to Santa Claus as Kurt Russell now, especially in real life. When I see Santa Claus, I'll be like, hey, Kurt Russell. Anyway, especially the part where he looks at his clock and he's like, man, we have like 4 hours to pretty much get things done so that we don't, our window of opportunity closes and all that. And I really hated when she went through to the North Pole and went on that really slow elevator and then looked for each letter for her brother's letter and then read the letter.
Yeah, what the heck? That's felony.
I was hoping that, like, because Santa Claus knows I messed up. Kurt Russell knows everything. That he would be like, hey, I noticed that you weren't urgent enough. Like, I thought he would kind of like make a fun of that, and they didn't, and I wasn't too mad about that. I just really hated that they chose those scenes and didn't put sense of urgency. Like, the only time they did show a sense of urgency is when the elves came and like, oh shit, I'm about to get attacked by little Furby gremlin things, and I better tell them that, I'm working with Santa Claus, even though it's not believable that a children made it there, and maybe Santa Claus got killed or something. What else did I hate about it? There was only like a few. Everything in the Christmas movie, especially like Home Alone. Well, no, Home Alone kind of gets it because they do find out that the son is missing or something. Mm. But in the year 2018, with cell phones and them being supposed to be home, you would think the mom would be calling or texting to see how their kids are doing. Then again, it's nighttime and they should be in bed. So that kind of answers my own question. But there was time, especially at the end, when they do go back in the daylight on the sled. Nobody's up. Nobody's hearing these reindeers that just plop down on the street. You'd think that one, and this is really nitpicking because this is what I think about in every movie. I'm like, there has to be one person that is like either going to work, like as a police officer, or maybe looking out the window while having a cup of coffee, and not seeing this. Because I thought they would kind of nod that, or maybe a child will look out the window and be like, "Mom, it's Santa Claus," and then he's gone. Kind of like what they did in Mexico with the kid.
I liked that part. That was one of my favorite parts.
And there was a lot of... I like that the ho 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 was a myth and it's fake news. I thought that was funny from Kurt Russell on how he delivered that. What do you think about the cops? Did you like the one cop that was kind of like a non-believer until he believed?
I liked that gimmick, but they really milked it from the one guy.
Yeah. What, the other guy that was like, the reindeers, they flew.
No, the primary one. Like,
oh, the Lisa guy?
I understand that realistically a cop would be like that, but I don't know. They milked it past the point where they were getting anything out of it story-wise. Like, really, they just wanted to lock him up so they could do that musical number, which didn't ruin the movie or anything, but it didn't really go anywhere for me. I mean, it did at first. I really liked the interrogation where he's like, "Oh, look, here's a this, here's a Han Solo action figure, here's a Snoopy doll. Oh my gosh!" It's like, what the fuck?
And he's like, "Yeah, we frisked you. How'd you get that?" And then I thought he was gonna make like another Fritzkin joke, or be like, "Where'd you get the instruments and the drums and the piano that just came out of nowhere?" I thought that was interesting. Um, yeah, again with with the bad guys like in the jail, like they made it very PG, but it was awesome, especially with the funny noises and stuff. Did you did you like how he gave coal to the bad guys that were stealing cars?
I knew that was going to happen. As soon as he took the president, I was like, "Well, there's coal in there, dude."
um, the sled itself was cool. What do you think about the reindeers? I thought the reindeers were pretty interesting. And where the fuck is Rudolph?
They were really cool, but man, they were big reindeer. Have you ever seen reindeer? I don't think they're that big.
No, but and again, where the fuck is Rudolph? Did he retire?
He's only needed for emergency weather situations.
Gotcha. He's kind of like the closer.
That was too far realism wise. No, reindeer noses don't glow. Everything else that fine, whatever. Magic hat, flying sled, elves, whatever. But reindeer, no, we're not messing with that.
Yeah, and I thought it was real funny that Kurt Russell as Santa Claus operating a car. He's like, I got to get used to this. I haven't done this in a while.
Oh my god, it's an automatic.
What about Mrs.
There was that does remind me of something else though. There's some obnoxious product placement in the movie, and Dodge is definitely one of them.
Oh yeah, because when Katie went into that present black hole to the North Pole kind of thing, seeing the Mustang or the Ford or whatever, like floating in the sky, I was like, oh okay.
No, I'm just talking about the Challenger they steal and drive around after naming, like he says, you stole that Dodge Challenger. Like he says it like so specifically. It's kind of gross. It's like, okay, I get it.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, I saw the yoo-hoo they shoved in your face in a sleigh. I mean, really, it was the Dodge thing that was like really blatant. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's fine, whatever. Who cares? But
yeah,
it was that line that turned me off a bit. Like he had to be so specific. You couldn't say that car or that sports car or even just the Challenger.
I think what's really gonna piss me off is that they're gonna try to sequel this movie.
Oh, and he also says straight Nate reindeer for 400 horses. It sounded like a marketing pitch. Sorry, I was still stuck on the product placement. But yeah, they might do a sequel thing. It seemed like.
Yeah, they kind of like
calling you if I need your help.
Yeah,
your presence.
And then the whole the elves getting jealous that he said you're the best helpers I ever had, and then the elves are like whimpering at the ground.
Maybe they'll do a prequel and it'll be like what's that Rankin and Bass special about Santa Claus? Santa Claus comes to town or something. Reboot that. Make it grittier.
Big Trouble in Little North Pole. Have Kurt Russell fight off I don't know what enemies he would have. I guess non-believers, I guess. What do you think of Mrs. Claus, by the way?
Think of what?
Mrs. Claus?
Goldie Hawn. It's funny. It's interesting.
Mm-hmm. They worked together in the past, right? If I'm correct.
Yeah, I think so.
I think that was kind of like a nod to like, oh, they're really good friends, and she's Mrs. Claus, and I was like, oh, okay. Then he also had the a family tree of or great believers or something like that. That was another cringe moment where she's like, man, I have a whole family of believers, and then the elves are like, a true believer. Yeah. Other than that, Andy, do you recommend this film for people to watch during Christmas Eve or even Christmas season?
Yeah, it's a good movie.
Yeah, and I still stand by my seal of approval that this might be one of the best Christmas movies ever for me. And that's saying a lot because you have It's a Wonderful Life, you have A Christmas Story. There'll always be classics, but there's, records are meant to be broken. So, all right, let's move from elves to hedgehogs. So this is your story, Andy. What's going on?
It's not much of a story. It's just they finally teased. They've been talking about and writing and casting this Sonic the Hedgehog live action CG movie forever, and there was a teaser poster, and it looks so fucking weird. It's like Sonic, but he's skinnier and kind of realistic, but not. It's just a silhouette, so it's not like we've seen him yet. It just looks really weird, and there's been lots of funny jokes about it on Twitter and Reddit and Facebook and stuff. I didn't feel like we could get by without at least bringing it up. It's so weird looking.
I don't know how I feel about it. I feel like it's gonna be bad, but then again, these video game movies are kind of getting a little bit better than usual than what we had. So it could be a good movie, but I don't know. I'm not digging the whole Sonic the Hedgehog live action. I would rather have like a Pixar movie do.
Yeah. I agree completely. It should be all CG or animated or something like that. I don't understand why they think this is a good idea. And I might be proved wrong. I would love to be proved wrong, but I don't think.
Mm-hmm. And in other news, did you see the new Avengers trailer?
Oh yeah. Oh man, it was cool. Had me with a tiny twinge of goosebumps a couple times.
It doesn't show anything, and I love it. But I know they're gonna show in the next trailer that they're gonna have action scenes, and I really think this should be the only trailer, and they should always pitch this trailer throughout. They moved it up, by the way, to April now instead of May.
Yeah, just like the last one.
Mm-hmm. So don't show anything. Make it somber. Make it look like they're not gonna win, and have them be surprised, because we all know they are gonna win. But people that don't follow comics, they might look at it and be like, "Oh, this might be the end." Thanos might have beaten the Avengers, and then that's when new Avengers come and pretty much take over, because I think this is Captain America's last movie for a while.
I mean, it makes sense, and everyone has been predicting it, and I think it would make sense anyway. They get Iron Man and Captain America and like maybe even Thor and a couple of others. Just get them out of the way, and let's get new heroes that you can write stories about. I'm not saying there's not 100 more stories that you can tell with Captain America. They've been doing it since the 40s, but I mean, the actors are going to age, unfortunately. So, maybe go out on top. Maybe do something really good with the character. And they don't have to die or anything. You can still do something to where they can come back. Like if the Infinity Stones killed air quotes Red Skull, but you still got to bring him back for a little thing. So you can do something.
Yeah, and what'd you think of Hawkeye rocking the Ronin costume? Do you know about Ronin in comics?
Vaguely. Like, I read stuff that was like adjacent to that, but I haven't read anything specifically.
Yeah, so Ronin was pretty much in Hell's Kitchen. She actually fought Daredevil. So I kind of like what they did with Hawkeye. We still don't know anything about it, but I'm figuring either A, his family got destroyed by the Gauntlet, and this is how he's living his life as a vigilante, or this is a kind of another timeline, because Gauntlet likes to mess with time, and this is what Hawkeye is he's somewhat of a bad person because he has a sword now instead of his bow and arrow. There could be a lot of things that happen, and they kind of do hint that something is wrong with time, because when they see Ant-Man at the gate, Captain America goes, "Was this is this now or something like that, or is this like in the past?" And that's interesting. There was a lot of speculation because people like to take pictures during sets and stuff, and they saw certain scenes that go all the way back to the first Avengers movie. So Well,
Hmm.
that would be interesting.
Yeah, I hadn't heard of that angle. I don't exactly like comb Reddit for a bunch of theories or anything. I just watched the trailer and I gather from it.
Well, a lot of people also hate time traveling ideas. Like, oh, what a cop out! Just go back in time and change everything. It's
Could be
like
fun.
eh, the way I have faith in the Russo brothers to come up with something good.
Yeah, it's like you've never seen or read an interesting time travel story. Yeah, get out of here.
And then they came out with a Miss Marvel trailer, Captain Marvel. My bad.
Mhm.
It's interesting because the only reason why I want to see this movie is because it's in the '90s. And I think the '90s.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. It's so interesting that the '90s is like a throwback thing they can do now. It's just weird.
Mm-hmm. And other than that, like again, oh Shazam, that's another superhero movie. Like I hate going through like movie sites, and I know I'm beating a dead horse, but I can never find something that is non-superhero news. It's always Deadpool's coming out, or fucking Avengers and Captain Marvel and Ant-Man. Oh my, and Aquaman. What's your actually opinion on Aquaman? Do you think Jason Momoa?
I I I I had stopped caring about it entirely, like long time ago. Basically before it was even announced. But I keep seeing stuff about how the soundtrack is inspired by Blade Runner, and Jason Momoa is into something. I can't remember what the other thing was. I keep like out of my peripheral vision on movie sites seeing stuff about that movie, and I don't know, it might actually be really cool. And I still really like him as an actor. I think he's an interesting guy. I think that he's the closest thing that they have to a Robert Downey Jr.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. Maybe it'll be good. I'm not gonna go see it unless like it's the best movie of the year. You have to go see it, or some friends see it and they say it's really good, or some friends are going to see it and they're like, "Do you want to go see Aquaman?" And I say no, and they say, "Quit being a bitch," and I say, "Fine."
I think it's gonna be okay. I think it might have the same surprise as Wonder Woman,
Wonder Woman.
and
Yeah.
then they get a little confidence, and then they come out with another film, and it sucks, and it's like
They want to make Avengers so bad, don't they? They're like, "Oh, we want to have all the heroes."
Mm-hmm.
We want it.
they'll
Calm down, DC.
they'll never
Focus
be
on
Marvel.
story.
I DC should surrender, or I should say WB should surrender that they will never beat Marvel, especially
No.
especially with the lead that they have now. It
Fucking Star Wars can't beat Marvel.
Mm-hmm. So just stick to one superhero at a time at the moment, and then if you do get traction to the point of getting good writers and having the production company get away from editing the movie, then maybe you'll have a great superhero movie. But other than that, some old news that I'm looking at right now. I'm passing all the superheroes. Apparently, Sylvester Stallone is officially retiring as the character Rocky Balboa. So I'm guessing maybe something will happen in Creed 2 to either A, he retires or gets hurt, or he actually gets killed because he's facing the Russian guy.
The movie's been out for a while. I kind of forgot to go see it.
Mm-hmm. I kind of want to see that movie just because Dolph Lundgren is in it. The guy who...
I just want to see it because Creed 1 was so damn good.
Yep. And, yeah. Not... Besides the whole fact that Netflix canceled all their Marvel TV shows and pretty much gearing up for the Disney streaming.
Did you see, though, that it was... I can't remember who had confirmed it, but someone of some import said, no, Daredevil wasn't canceled because it's going to be on the Marvel service. That isn't announced, and it probably won't be.
Really?
Like, what? Fuck you.
How could... Because they didn't say anything about Punisher, by the way. I believe Punisher is still on...
Season 2 is like coming out soon. It's like this month, isn't it?
Yeah.
Next month? It's soon.
Yeah. So it's kind of interesting that you do say that, because I'm like, Daredevil is pretty... Like, all those shows were pretty edgy. I think if you were Disney, and I'm knowing Disney that they don't like a lot of violence and a lot of sex, you'd want to keep those type of shows on Netflix because you know what they're gonna do probably. And the guy who plays the lead for Daredevil, I keep on forgetting his name. He was saddened that he's not working, being Daredevil, and that's kind of alarming because usually they would be like, "Don't worry, we're just on a hiatus until the Disney thing comes out." And to me, I think what they're gonna do is that they are gonna release the Daredevil show, the Jessica Jones and the Luke Cages, but it's gonna be really watered down so that because they're gonna be pitching this Disney platform to kids.
I don't know about that. Disney as an entity, sure, they want to do violence even though they got to kill Stuff's parents in every movie they make, but the conglomerate that is Disney is a massive organization, and like I think if you follow the tree enough, like they own Miramax, who put out all of, like Quentin Tarantino's movies. I might be pulling that out of my ass, but like Buena Vista or someone has made surely all kinds of weird violent stuff. And plus, you gotta imagine it's probably gonna have the Marvel movies on.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. You might be right, but I don't see him doing that.
Well, yeah, but looking at, you watched the Daredevil show, right?
Negative.
Negative. Okay. And you've seen Punisher season 1, right?
No.
No. Okay. So all these.
I told you I'm sick of comic book stuff, and I don't like TV shows that much.
Yeah. So all these shows, they have literally softcore porn on there, to the point of like seeing a little bit of side boob, and like the bed rocking really, really hard. Like this is nothing that a kid could sit down and with his mom or dad and be like, "Oh, Daredevil, he's badass," but here's porn on the side for you. And that's what kind of confuses me. Even though Disney does have hands in like Quentin Tarantino movies and all this, we don't even know the lineup for the Disney streaming platform. Maybe they'll have those type of movies for like an adult area, and then have the kids section for like your Lion Kings and your Frozen and all that stuff.
That's what everyone's doing now. Netflix.
Yeah, I just feel like let Netflix have these shows on there, just so that they can stick to the formula. Because I think once Disney has these shows on there, even if they do take the the Daredevil and the Jessica Jones and the Luke Cages, that they're just gonna water down it, and it's gonna do bad, and nobody's gonna like that.
They've made an awful lot of good decisions so far. That's all I'll say.
Yes, and they also made a few bad ones too, so they're not really perfect. Oh, okay. Well, that's pretty much it. Are you interested in the Star Wars, the Mandalorian?
Somewhat. Again, it's kind of like, oh, it's a TV show, that kind of stuff. But when I was a kid, I read like the Bounty Hunter Wars and some of the Boba Fett comics and stuff, and I really want to see what they do. Obviously, that's none of that's canon. I understand that. I'm not living in a fantasy world. No real punch, but I'm not imagining that they're going to keep any of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I really want to see what they would do with like the Mandalorian myth and stuff like that, because they still got Jango and Boba in that armor and stuff, but they aren't necessarily. I think maybe Jango Fett was supposed to be a Mandalorian. I'm not sure, but I'm interested to see. I don't know if I'll like sit down and binge watch it all like people say, but yeah, I can see myself watching it. I bet you I will.
Yeah, and this is what I've always wanted Disney to do, especially when you have like stuff like Rogue One and these side stories that they want to do in movies. I think they should just stick with Disney streaming service and kind of push it there so that you can get a full story, than rather putting it into a 2 hour, even though it's probably going to be more watched if they did put it in a 2 hour, because people don't have time these days. But TV shows, you could really go into deep detail on each place that this character goes on. So
yeah, I admit detail's great. I mean, I read too, of course, which is the next logical step. And there are TV shows that I like a lot. It's just I'd rather watch a few movies than watch a television show. A television show has got to be the cream of the crop to get me watching.
Yep. Only have Jon Favreau as the director, so can't be that bad.
That's definitely a step in the right direction.
Yep. No more news, by the way, so that I think we will conclude this podcast. Andy, is there any projects you want to speak about?
Not right now. I'm writing some stuff I might turn into a series, I think. I don't know. I don't want to tease it and then it not come to fruition though, so I'll just sit on it for now. Christmas is a busy time of the year, folks.
I will say that I did a soft launch on my website, nerdreview.com, so maybe if you want to write something instead of making a video out of it, you could probably post it on there if you want to.
Maybe. I have very bad spelling.
Don't worry about it. Not everybody's perfect, and we're not like a media website. But if anybody wants to know that Nerd Review pretty much is a community of nerds, just being a community and talking about movies, TV shows, video games, comic books, anything that is nerdy. And yes, I do say that wrestling is kind of nerdy because some of the stuff is nerdy on wrestling, and a lot of the wrestlers are nerds. So keep an eye on that. Our podcast is on Podbean, which is B.T.I.L.P.podbean.com. Give us a comment and give us a review. We're also on iTunes, so try to download us and listen to us, working out, riding to work, or whatever. Or if you're on the toilet and you want to listen to us, that's good too. Kind of quick projects. I'm kind of staying away from doing like serious streaming because I've been and this is kind of off topic on movies. I've been having a lot of fun just playing video games just to play, not to be like play video games because I have to stream it. And
that's good. Yeah. I know that you got affiliate status recently. I thought you were going to say like, "Oh, I'm not streaming it."
Yeah, I still stream. I'm not the type of person that I'm gonna go. This is a schedule of what I'm gonna be streaming. I'm just gonna be streaming whatever I want to play and whenever I want to play it too. So if I don't want to, do it on my days off, then I won't stream. Maybe next week.
You're gonna play video games for fun?
Yeah, it was kind of an eye opener for me, and playing video games for fun is a lot more funner than playing video games to stream. So
it's weird that you said more fun, which is correct, and then turned around and said funner.
Yes.
Sorry,
See, that's why I'm not really good spelling and grammar, I guess. And it's funny because I write a lot of things too, but I have a computer to do the editing part.
If it wasn't for that, I would look like some kind of a complete idiot all the time. Even more so than I do now.
Yeah. I lost my train of thought since you corrected me on my grammar.
Oh, you do writing.
Yes, and pretty much follow our podcast, listen to it, and hopefully. Oh, the next movie! Holy shit!
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
What Christmas movie did you choose for?
Good question, but I'm gonna bullshit this really quickly because I didn't choose one. So I'm looking for one right.
I know what I'm gonna watch on Netflix. I'm gonna watch Roma. It comes out in 2 days.
Oh shit!
It's a movie.
Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of like cringy Christmas movies that I'm looking at right now.
Oh yeah, the Christmas selection on there is complete trash. I hypothesized, I was talking about this, but I guessed that they put a bunch of garbage Christmas movies on there so that you watch Christmas Chronicle because it's their Christmas movie.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's true. That's real. It's real silly, but that's what I think. I don't think you're going to find a whole lot better on Hulu and.
You know what? Remember last Christmas we watched Santa Claus?
Yeah. No, it was Santa Buddies. No, maybe it was Santa Claus.
That Santa Claus.
One of those.
Yeah. We're gonna watch an all cat movie called Santa Claus.
No, Why?
It's an hour and 26 minutes, and we need to have our at least one bad movie per month. So we went from a good, and then we're gonna go to a terrible. But yeah, watch the terrible movie with us, and then come back here and listen to what we have to say. Until next time, everybody, have a Merry Christmas, because it will be Christmas after Christmas, actually, when we record our next Big Trouble in Little podcast. So,
Oh yeah, December is spread out weird this year. But yeah, Merry Christmas, everyone.
Merry Christmas. Bye.
Thanks for listening.